Hello, I'm Peter Usher, and I'd like to give you a little bit of an introduction and a walk through my collection of paintings. This work is called Resolve, and it is the title work for this show. Many people may well recognise this as Green's Pool, a remarkable place down here on the far south coast of Western Australia in Denmark. It's known for its tranquil waters and huge skies. Green's is also known for its turquoise water, crystal clear, and its incredible rock formations. The rocks on this coastline have incredible textures, and I use plaster in my paint to give that form and contrast it with beautiful, flat, smooth passages of paint. The contrast between the two is what it's all about. The rocks right up and down this coastline are extraordinary, and I've used the same sculptural paint technique on these paintings of Yallingup. I've been developing this technique with plaster within the paint for many years now. I put it in and then build up layers of paint over the top of that, building up sometimes 20, 30, 40 layers of glazed paint to create that look that I'm after. The Yallingup paintings in this exhibition are actually quite important for me because Yallingup was the place where I really started to realise that I had to think outside of the square and paint in a different way. I started to experiment with three-dimensional forms and being able to build these works before I started painting as well. And I find that it really gives me flexibility and a new way of seeing paintings altogether. A lot of the works in this new show are inspired by the forest where I live. And I've been able to use the three-dimensional forms that I'm experimenting with to really bend and shape these, well, they're not canvases now, they're boards, and project the image forwards. And then combining that with other elements. So in this case, it's really tightly controlled shifts of colour and tone. The negative shapes, the positive that is created from the negative as well. It's a work that follows on from others and leads me in to others. So this painting Enlightened shows a motif that is in this show and in my current work, and that of the tree trunk. It's something that's close to my heart, living in a forest, but it also represents for me strength and endurance, an intergenerational kind of memory. These trunks, and we've got some really big trees on the block, bear witness to history. They also allow me the opportunity to be able to reconcile opposites. Now that could be light, it could be colour, it could be time, it could be a whole bunch of things. It's whatever the viewer can see in it as well. For me, these trees are much more than just trees. They inspire me to paint, but they also inform the way I see the world. This painting, Spirit Tree, is about the connection between soil and sky, and connection between opposites, the encompassing nature of the outside versus the singularity of the core. This series also uses the tree trunk motif and allows me to explore the spectrum of light in a different way. I've used a little trick here which isn't obvious from just looking at the photos from the front. When you see these paintings and when you track from the left around to the right, you'll notice them changing. There's a little bounce that happens in the light behind. Ambient light reflects and creates a colourful halo against the wall. People often ask me, is it acrylic? And they're confused by it. It isn't, it's just a clever technique. But it's one that I'm pretty pleased with. You might have noticed This isn't being recorded in a pristine gallery environment. There's lots of marks on the wall and extra screws. That's because this is just my beaten up studio, and it's a very well used studio at that. But I want to show you, bring the camera in and you can pan around this particular work, because the three-dimensional aspect of this painting actually really matters. You go from the subtle greys from one side through to facing the painting to be really quite intense colour, and then back right the way around to the opposite subtle on the other side. It really mimics the transition that this bush goes through from light to dark, morning to night. So this piece is quite a contemporary form. It also uses this experimentation in three-dimensional forms, but they take a lot of carpentry just to get to the point where I can start painting. As you can see on the back of this one, they become really quite complex. There's a lot of milling of timber and priming. These things are really built to last. One of the best things I've found about living and working in this environment in Denmark is having seascapes and forest right on my doorstep. This piece is about the connections between every little object in the forest and the language that is spoken that I don't even understand. It's about form, texture, shape. I've used natural timber combined with pieces of timber that I've actually formed and shaped myself, and then overlaid paint surfaces that directly reference and are inspired by the bush around me. I hope you've really enjoyed this little video introduction for this group of paintings, and I hope too that you're able to get into the gallery and have a look for yourself. I promise you, they are better in the flesh. Or make a personal appointment. Thanks very much for watching.